have come down to is that all things physical are associated with something that we call the coiling core. And like, I can guarantee every one of you, when I watch you do a video of whatever you're doing, you've all done like a component of it, and that we are trying to train the essence of it basically in everything we do. And then it has carryover to all things. So I will try to expand on that a little more. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yeah, well, how do you feel like, because you've always been a stud, so
I guess.
What have you seen that's really improved that you can attribute to that specifically?
Yeah, I would say that I have not, like, I know it looks like I train a lot, but I don't actually train that often. And when I do, I'm literally only focused on that anymore. And I'm getting PRs and things that I haven't been trained in years. And I'm feeling more, I would say the number one thing is I'm just feeling like an athlete again. I haven't felt like athletic since I was like 18. Like, I just feel like I can pick up anything and do it. And even Jeremy's juggling course, like doing the ropes and stuff, when I was playing with that, the figure eighting, like he even brought up figure eights a little bit. But I just felt like I was able to pick things up really quick. Not that I'm like a master at anything, but I just felt athletic and that I can be more broad spectrum and pick everything up.
So do you feel like, so it sounds like you're getting to the core of the issue, like this coiling is a fundamental piece of athleticism. Because it's similar to what like Nadi and functional patterns.
No, actually, no. I actually found out about that a little bit. Okay,
well, he doesn't say that, but he says the sling, right? Like it's all about this contralateral slings.
Sure.
And it seems, from what I've seen, it seems similar, but you guys really go for the ipsilateral.
Yes.
So would you say that's a distilled like athleticism, human locomotion?
So what we look at it as is that the first thing that came to us as people was flight or locomotion, running, moving. And that's essentially for the way that we've like created. Now, I'm not even gonna say it's what we've created, because if you look at anybody that runs well, they do it. They do this sort of like underhand sort of figure eight with the shoulders, which if you look at anything David does, he talks about his double down pulse and stuff like that, which is getting a little more in depth on it. But essentially these underhand like figure eights. And then that taps into that is the coil basically. And then when we're in our training, we're tapping into that, like just the pure essence of it. That's where that'll be that like weird little twisty thing, or the coil you guys may have seen me do. So I'm just getting to the deepest root of it so that when I go do anything else physical, I'm better at it automatically. The thought.
Yeah, the coil seems to me like, so if we're looking at this figure eight, when you explained that to me the first time, I was like, this sounds like the Kundalini, like the Dantian. Like I've been into that. I've been doing like isometrics for that. So I know there's something special there, and I can see how that's a very fundamental part of all the extremity movement stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems like that coiling is maybe like the in-range isometric.
I would say that's what it is. It's basically just you learning to tap into whatever your end range is and just to dig into it infinitely, basically. And the deeper you're able to connect to that, then you're able to, like I said, just tap into it, into anything physical you're going to do. So I find sports tend to be like the number one people think of it, I think. But I see it in all movers. Like if you watch any of you guys do any floor work, you are like, when you're entering into a lot of stuff, you go into it for a brief moment and then you express it basically. So basically it's the locomotion piece of it is kind of like the number one thing. And then that leads into like our fight, which is the overhand figure eight. And then the ability as a human being to tap into figure eights in the under and the over leads into our ability to express that in any modality we want. So that is all the fun stuff we love, everything we do in OMU, all sports you do, whatever it is. But the root to all of that is locomotion and fight, or underhand and overhand figure eights, essentially.
Can you explain the so locomotion is an underhand figure eight, and fighting would be more overhand figure eight.
Fighting is we'll say overhand, but it's technically both under and over. But we couldn't do the over without the under. We had to locomote before we could actually defend or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like our first experience as humans to put something into play that was like an essential. And then as we've evolved, we've decided to express the under and overs in whatever we want, basically.
Mm. So is there something, like I said, I was used to the similar things, but from a contralateral stance.
Mm-hmm.
And after talking to you, I've been switching to the ipsilateral stance a lot, which is like weird. It's very different from everything I've been taught.
Yeah.
I feel a lot more going on, more compression, more everything.
Mm-hmm.
So can you give more about the why behind the ipsilateral training?
So that's we look at everything has to be a coil based on the idea that everything started with locomotion. Okay, so that and coiling turns us the figure eighting when we run, we double down with the hands and we push into the ground on that side that front leg's there. So we're tapping into the lat, and the lat becomes the feet. So we don't run with our legs, we run with our lats. And we run with that figure eighting happening. And then essentially when I go into, like if I want to load it and train in it, I know that it will have carryover into locomotion and everything else. I don't know if that answered you. I may be off by that.
So it sounds like what I got is it's a better way to access the lats.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to say everything is sort of to tap into the low lat. Okay. I heard your little lat thing on your Instagram today, which I thought was funny. But so the idea that the lat, we try to bridge the ninth rib and enter into like the lower origins of the lat, like where it taps into the ninth rib as well as like on the hip. So it's something that like people don't really think about because it doesn't have like a huge physique gain to it. So we tend to feel the lat in the top portion and not down into that lower hemisphere, right?
People tend to feel their teres major.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to tap into when we talk about the lat. And that's where the deeper you're able to get into that, the closer you are to your hip, essentially. And your hips are everything. Your hips guide you. If you're lifting heavy, your hips, the closer the weight is to the hip, the easier it is. And if you're near your hips, you're closer to your center. You can do all gymnastics. You can play sports better. It's whatever it is. So it's kind of this. We kind of have this idea that everything now becomes one set of infinite coils. Because I wake up, I walk to the gym, and I'm coiling. And then I go to the gym, and I'm expressing however my brain wants to express itself in coiling, doing all my crazy shit. And then I leave and I'm still coiling when I go home, and it just becomes this, everything builds on each other. And I think I gave you when I first met with you, I was like just dabbling in it, and I'm like all in it now. And, and like, it changes the way you walk. I think I told you like the first time I actually felt what it did, I was walking through Costco with my wife. And like, I could just start feeling like my lats were starting to like carry my body across the floor, which was so funny because I started getting like this swag in Costco, like this uncontrollable swag. And I don't know, I think you even mentioned too, it kind of has this like uplifting property. like even when I start like talking about it, like I start to get like I don't know, like I want to move and I feel good. And everybody I've done it with, like there's just this like uplifting feeling about it outside of the like crampy, I got my lat going and I feel great and I feel like things are carrying over. But I don't know, there's this like mentality that kind of comes along with it. That's exciting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the pulsars, the double down.
Yeah.
That it's, I don't know why. I have a feeling it's just jacking up the nervous system because of the rebound and the speed.
Yeah.
Like people would do the shakes, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Like to wake up the nervous system. So I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely like it's a stimulating feeling that there's a little window that opens up. So I could see how that's good. Interest set or how you guys use it. But the first time we met, the reason it clicked for me was I was really big into the torque chains and we were talking about the different proprioception and you were explaining the same thing with different, like from a different language. And it was like resonating, even like the lat, lower lat, like to me is like, that's getting external torque. And like talking about teres major, that's a whole different torque. So what I want to know is you seem to be focusing on like the opposite of a coil. Do you guys access that?
Yeah. Okay. Like so the thing is, because it seems so complex, and like we start with that like deep coil this way, and then there is what we'll call like the long coil, which is the other side essentially. So the lat is still involved there, but like in locomotion, the shoulder will be like protracted and rolled through. And this one will be down and back or down and around or coiled. I just need to like have you guys feel it. It's a hard thing to explain. It's something you have to feel, which I'm totally going to post a video for everybody that you like.
Whoa. We might be featuring you and going deep.
Okay. Yeah, it's like it's something you got to get really deep into.
Yeah.
But what is this? A few sentences for a child. Crap. Yeah, I don't know. You got to feel it. I'll have to talk about that because it doesn't have to be IPSA actually. Like, so when I met you, Daniel, like with you, I was so in the beginning of it, and that was the way to distill it and work it closest to locomotion. So we were trying to mimic locomotion when I was working with you. But there's ways to tap into it, like in a bilateral environment where you're working for like lifting or like a gymnastics type thing where it's the rings or something like that. But it doesn't have to be the IPSA.
Well, that just isolates.
Yeah. That's the idea that we're trying to just crack into that distilled essence of what we're calling rotational locomotion. Okay, so it's just a different concept than what people teach. Like right now, people teach essentially to like keep your head in the center and run with your arms swinging, and not this idea that we have this sort of swag and almost like fishtaily look to it. I think the best people, if you want to look at a video, is to watch like a football player run. I think like just a beeline, they're like a perfect example of like double down. And because they have the pads on, it sort of forces them, like they have something to fight. It gives them that figure eight look. And if they happen to be holding a ball, it's even more kind of exagrated.
Well, I would say if you guys want to see it in action, watch Roy Gold walk around. For real. Watch his videos.
Yes,
he looks like a fucking gorilla.
Yeah, and what's really intriguing about it is like I'm an average athlete. I feel like I can kind of tap into everything, but I kind of like get by somehow. I don't know, but like working on this, I can see how if I actually decided I wanted to train for something specifically, how I can tap into like that like elite level of shit rather than just being this like, how the fuck do these people do this stuff? Like they're just it's almost like they're gifted, and they're like genetically gifted into like tapping into that coil early on in their life, and they just have thousands and thousands of reps in their belt or under their belt with it basically, and they have the advantage. But now it's like I have the education to say you can do this, and it makes you feel athletic. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've been interested in is we see these elite Olympic level athletes, and you could look at their training program and it might look like shit. Their form might look like shit. You could copy what they do and you don't get anywhere near it. They're doing something that no one could name.
Yeah.
And I mean, I see it in, I mean, I kind of take it back to the nervous system, but I think we're talking about the same stuff. I think that's one of those things that, like you said, you could see it in all these high level movers, that they're doing this certain way of moving that hasn't been isolated yet. And I guess that's what you guys are attempting to do.
That's what I'm saying is like, we think that this is, and we're not even saying it's like, we're not saying like this is it and we're not willing to learn anything else. It's like, this is as distilled as we've seen it, and we're working on high level athletes with it, and we're showing high level athletes it, and it's working for them. And I'll say we were just working with was it Lionel DeShields the other day, MLB. I don't know anything about baseball, but we were working with him and teaching him a lot with it, and he's like able to move faster with it now, which is a huge deal at that kind of level. So,
dude, especially hitting a ball.
Oh my god! Oh, I mean, obvious. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I'm excited for everybody to kind of play with it, and I'm helping develop sort of like the qualification course for it right now, like how to actually express this to people. And I do a lot of the roping and things like that because I feel like that's been for me the easiest way to kind of like just get reps under my belt of the concept. And then the more I've looked at like the kind of lifting I've done in my career. Like I'm big on bench pressing and the two hands anyhow and things like that. And they are a form of going through a full coil and into an extended coil without me even having that intent behind it. And now going into those lifts again, it's like a totally different experience. And it feels easier, and like I'm able to tap into what I like. If I missed a lift, like I didn't know what happened, now I know what happened basically. Like I know exactly like what I'm supposed to be looking for and searching for and everything.
So do you think all these old school strongman studs who could do everything, who were all the best bent pressers, do you think is that pretty much a loaded coil?
Yeah. So yes. So I was actually looking at Arthur Saxon, who's my little hero as far as that. And like I was just looking at, I mean, obviously it's just still shots of him and stuff, but like the position of his body, the way his arms are going, the way like his foot is on the side that he's lifting all the load on and stuff. It's all this idea, this concept of spiraling and coiling. We can call it whatever you want. Coil is kind of like the essence, but it's also, I've just in the past like couple weeks started experiencing how once I'm in the coil in the top, in the lat, how that then translates through my thigh and all the way down to the arch of my foot, and how it roots me into the floor based on like foot positioning, which is kind of what I'm getting into now in it, is like the intention of my foot based on that coil and what I'm trying to accomplish basically. And that's kind of like where I'm at right now with it, and I love it. And it's now it's tapping me into like, immediately when I saw some stuff with it, it was like, oh, that's how a basketball player goes to set up to do a dunk, and that's why he has so much force and why he can go flying in the air. And like I'm able to apply that now and jump higher like instantly, just with some technical stuff. And I don't know anything about basketball, like I just could see it. Like I know I've seen a basketball player do it, and now I understand why they do it. And I'm not even sure if they understand why they do it. I think they've been told to do it and it works type thing, but maybe I'm wrong.
Do you want to bring everyone through the basic coil right now who's watching?
Yeah. I'm down to do that.
Does everyone want to try it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
All right. So Let me see if I can actually get this someplace I can demo it. All right. This work. Shit. I'm gonna have to ditch my headphones. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just ditch it. We can all hear it. All right, guys. Anybody gonna follow along and you just want to watch it? That's not good. That's not good either. My house is tiny. All right.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah. Okay. So you can't see my feet, but we're gonna kind of guide you through it. So my feet are like the corner of a box, so 90 degree. Okay. So I load all of my load into this right leg. Okay. And I'm gonna slide my left leg straight across. Okay. I'm gonna turn or coil, so I'm turning down and around with the right side. Okay. I turn my wrist out. Okay. We call this pizza here. So we're like holding a pizza tray. Okay. The top hand is kind of mimicking the same thing. So I'm holding a pizza tray with the top hand and getting as long as I can through my top elbow. And then I roll down and around, and then I just kind of compress that wrist or that elbow down to my opposite hip. Okay? And you'll immediately feel that lat like just blow up. Okay? If you don't
got cramps right away.
Yeah, immediately, right?
Yeah.
So that's the essence of it. So cool, you felt it. You only hold it for 5 seconds or so. You get it. You get the feeling. So that's essentially, we do some like prep work for that, like some fascial work or whatever, just to get in there as deep as you can get. And then that's how you start every session. And then you go and you start to, you just try to make as much of what you do mimic that feeling as possible. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you have to do everything. Like I've found like with some people, I just have to, some clients, we just express it in one way. And then they tend to start telling me, they're like, whoa, I feel something different in this other thing that I love. Like I'm starting to notice, like I feel more secure or whatever they feel from it. But I don't even have to completely engulf all the training with it. I just happen to do that myself because I'm obsessed.
Well, it's good to load. Oh, we still have you there? Christopher Chamberlin. All right, we'll get Chris back on. How did that feel, guys? Who tried it?
It feels good actually. I felt it cramping on one side right away, and I engaged it really nicely, like deep lat. I didn't know like ends, but like it's not a top of it, not from like what you feel in pull-ups, but it's like from inside, like right on the ribs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like
nice.
Thinking about getting the elbow to like the hip, like low as you can.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get the similar feeling doing shoulder scap cars at the bottom, but then bringing like I'll even start from there and then just go further into it with the side bend twist.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a good cramp.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to explore it tonight more. If Misha, maybe you want to join me?
Oh, Misha's not even on the call. Oh, yeah. He's back on.
I'm back. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Chris, that yeah, I think loading those and integrating them, like we call them it's probably similar external torque openers. Like I showed you with the bar, like that twisting.
Yeah, the twisting. Yeah.
I showed you with the deadlifts going down, but I was doing them contralateral.
Yeah, so I
switched it to IPSY, and I do those every day now.
Yes, good. Yeah, and I mean, do what you want with it. Even that, like just doing that, like everything you do will be better in my mind. I think the coil feels amazing in itself, but until you start, like I know you were roping a little bit, until you start actually feeling like the figure eighting, and then you start to understand the differences between the two styles, that's where you start going like, oh, that really heavy torqued coiled deadlift I'm doing, now I'm applying that to me walking to the fucking store. You know what I mean? I feel like a fucking monster type thing. And we call it the big cat effect. You kind of start feeling like just this big cat. You got this swag and you just kind of move around. You feel awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When you're doing the figure eights, like with the shakers and the ropes and stuff, are you holding that much tension and like cramping in the lats the whole time?
No,
Okay.
not at all. No, actually, so for that, what we're most of the time, like in a fitnessy environment, like with a class, people are coming there maybe for some metabolic work. They want to sweat a little bit. I might try to actually have them like work in it a little bit. But for my own personal practice, most of the time I'm actually looking for the most efficiency possible. So like when I actually strike the ground, like if you've ever seen me in a split stance, when I strike the ground on the side of the split stance, the front leg, that's the one that I try to basically just go with gravity as hard as I can and let gravity throw force into the ground. And then if I just kind of let up at that point, if I'm using the rope will actually go through the whole figure eight until it gets back to that side again for free. And the idea is to find this, if you want to find this like free energy. So in like if I'm lifting for the day, I'll typically like do a heavy deadlift and I'll go grab that rope and just do underhand eights for like 3 to 5 minutes of just looking for that efficient route. So then I'm not wasting energy, but my lats and everything are so friggin' primed and ready to go for that next set of deadlifts. It's awesome. It's the most like productive recovery I've ever had in anything outside of juggling. but I will tell you that what helped me with 4-ball when I switched to that, you had mentioned something about figure eights and something, and I just kind of started thinking of that, and that connected with me just because I'm immersed in it right now. Not that that's like a must-have for that, but that was something that like related to me with some of it. Like I started feeling things a little different in that, and I was looking for efficiency, which I think is sort of the route there too. So
I can confirm for everyone that Chris learned faster than like top 3, I think, fastest of anyone I've seen. So something's working.
But
genetics.
Yeah, I mean, realistic. No, dude, not at all. Trust me. Like, not really. Good at faking stuff, but no. But really, it's what. That's what I was saying is like, as long as you kind of have this root of like the idea that everything stemmed from locomotion, and that if you understand that the coil or the figure eighting of the body is how we do that, that's kind of like the bread and butter of all this. Like you got to understand that. And then you can express it in whatever way you want. And this is where like I'm starting to see like we even like in FRC, like everybody was talking about like you got to have the capacity of the joint or whatever before you should go do things with it, right? It's kind of like almost going to that level, saying that like if you don't understand locomotion and how to move well, like do you have the right? Not that you don't have the right, but like could you be better at everything else that you want to express as a human being in movement? And all things physical, and it just goes right down to that. And I'll set up and do. I think I was telling you, DJ, that I'll do like FRC stuff with the intention now of being in some sort of coiled position or something that relates to locomotion in that respect. And I feel better from it. Like I get more out of it. I feel like the range I'm exploring is the right range, not just all range type thing. It feels like it's very directed to something that is ingrained in my genetics, you know what I mean? Like part of me, my DNA. And then it all kind of comes from brachiating or whatever. Like if we were apes and we did brachiate and all that, you see because David actually has he doesn't have a tricep, so he can't actually explore any of this in like any kind of lifting for the most part. So this is where I have come in, because I'm kind of a weirdo and can explore everywhere, and he's kind of a broken old man.
You're the surrogate coil.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I get it, like I understand it, and I think I'm the first person that's ever understood it the same way kind of that he does. and I'm able to explore it in different realms that he couldn't. So he doesn't know how to like tell it to people. I was like, I'm dealing with this like super intelligent human that's just put so much time into like researching like everything movement, and it's kind of awesome. I get to like just organize his thoughts and see what everything he did, and then express it in ways that he's never gotten to. And that's where I was saying like brachiating, like you immediately when you're swinging, you have a figure eight in the shoulder, and that's where we essentially we developed like the lats were how we locomoted in the air, right? And then as we like climbed and shimmied down fucking trees or climbed up the tree, like we started getting this like that pinch grip on a tree, which is why he has like the Bozu. That half dome is to kind of help your feet understand how to compress inward into something. And he dubs them the green dots, but like it's your pinky toe, or in his line of intense, it gets into this crazy shit of like, there's like 900 feet in your feet, and you have to understand how to apply like you have to start thinking of the heels of those different feet. And that's how you base your movement on whatever you're trying to accomplish. Mm-hmm. So the generals, we call them the 2 and the 3. It's basically like internal and external of your foot, but with some very specific intentions. And one of them roots you into the floor or ready for fight, and the other one basically gets you ready to flight or run. So it's kind of cool. Man.
Yeah, we use the same internal external torque on the foot.
Yeah, it's all torque. Yeah, everything with him is torque, and I want to show you a special coil. I'm gonna work with you that involves torque, and I think you're gonna just fucking eat it up.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah,
dude, awesome. I fucking love the ball for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ball, anything. We use the club a lot of time. Ball is awesome.
We got a couple in the gym, and it teaching people like the internal torque takes a long ass time. I'm doing it in like a couple reps using the ball. Mm-hmm. The feedback is just, you can't, like I have the pec stick and stuff for the upper body.
Yeah.
But for the feet, it's the only thing that gives them that to drive.
Yeah, they immediately. I'll work with kids. I work with everybody, and like I'm able to get people to feel things in their body they've never felt and associate it with like everything that they do, and they're like, I feel so much better. I have people I've worked with for years that are immediately feeling better, which is awesome. And then I have a couple like new private clients and things like that I like kind of just have like guinea pig them and immerse them in it immediately just to see kind of like how they would evolve in it. And it's freaking through the roof how people are like how athletic, like just this average client of mine, just like, it's crazy. I don't know. Like they'll like be like light years ahead of somebody I've been working with for 3 years trying to explain things to them. And I was kind of like ingrained in that like hard style kettlebell world, and everything was very like rigid and stiff. And like, I always used to kind of like just listen to my body. That's who I am. And I would always kind of move in a different way anyways. And I used to get a lot of crap for it, like in hard style. And I was always just like, I feel better that way. I don't give a shit what you think. So I went with it, and it's all come back. All that is now like, that's why, like, I know why I always went to that and why it felt right to me, because I'm fairly in tune with myself. So I listen to that crap.
And that's a big paradigm shift that I think you guys are starting. And I love it, because that's even a filter I had from the fitness industry. Over what I do and teach is the whole, like, you gotta brace the core and stay like level and symmetrical, and that like the dipping was bad. But like you said, it is a natural thing you want to do. You guys are just embracing that and training that, which is great.
Yes. Yep. That's the idea. Right.
And also, so the theory is that, so brachiating, so the theory I've heard is brachiating was one of the things that led to locomotion and throwing, especially.
So that's what I was going to say. Look, I think, yes, brachiating led to locomotion, but nobody's looked at locomotion as figure eighting until now, is what I'm going to tell you. I've not seen anybody actually teach it that way.
Well, I've never seen it taught from because it's always like contralateral, right?
Yeah.
But the double down, it's more cyclical.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying, that it's one set infinite reps, because you literally like it goes through that figure eight, and that you can just keep rolling with the energy and keep the energy going, and then apply it however you want. And then that's where I was saying, like, throw the fight, that's the overhand. That's where locomotion, like, once we understood this, we started to go, we understood this, then I can, like, I can throw something. And I posted a couple of goofy videos of me, like, throwing sticks and stuff. But, like, I don't throw anything. I've never played any throwing sports or anything. And, like, the reason I posted it, honestly, was because, like, I was literally just doing my stuff. And then I was just, like, I could just feel, like, in my hand, like, I want to fucking throw this thing. Like, I have the ability to throw this thing. And I was throwing it. You know what I mean? Like, it just came to me. So, like, in that process of me just exploring this, I started feeling, like I said, like that athletic behavior, or that martial, like that fighting, like the ability to swing something or throw. And we try not to train throwing too much, just because it doesn't have, like, a lot of, like, you can't repeat it, and it's so high.
It's more of an expression. Yeah,
it's like an expression of it. Yeah, right. Yeah. That's why baseball players throw out the shoulders all the time, right? So but we will swing, and the rope becomes, we don't jump. We say we don't jump the rope because we're weaponizing the rope, and we're using it as a weapon to tap into the over unders as often as possible, just to bank reps, basically.
I like how you guys call it fight and locomotion.
Yeah.
I've been using it. Dude, this was a big insight for me at Joshua Tree. So I brought that along, and I was practicing breath work. So I was going nasal, internal torque, just flow, and I was just getting in a flow state going here. And then I switched it under and was going just mouth breathing, just like powerful in a sense. And it automatically, I don't know if it automatically did, or it was like the perfect tool for me to switch nervous system state. Like, it got me in a very different flow to more fight. And I'm saying fight different than how you called the overhand fight.
Well,
but I'm saying, like, as far as in the state.
So fight is technically both. It's the expression of over and under. That's like feinting. Like, you're able to, like, run and come in, like, if you need to. You know, that's the combination. It's to turn the figure eight the other way, okay, and express it differently in any way you need to, basically. Okay, throw it, hit them, run, whatever you need to do, right?
I mean, not fight as far as, like, I consider this a flow state. I guess more like explosive, jumpy type under. And it was interesting that that figure eight, you see it come up so much in like Eastern movement practice, Eastern philosophy. And even the proprioception is huge on the hands and feet, the reflexology and all of that.
That's all he's into, actually. I didn't realize at first when I was getting into it, but he is very, like, Eastern inspired. He's very martial arts. Like, everything is that yin and yang. He's got this whole story behind it and everything that he's, like, learned in that. And everything, like all this stuff with the hands and everything with the lats has to do with, like there's, like, you've seen Bruce Lee, like, fucking, like, set up and fucking load up or whatever he's doing. I don't know, that charge up thing I've seen him do. He's like, but basically it has something to do with, like, reflexology and, like, reflexive points or whatever on the body, and, like, tracing those lines. I don't know anything about it. I'm a fucking idiot. So,
but yeah, you see, dude, it pops up and all of that. Definitely.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, it's definitely, like, it's inspired from that, and then
So do you think when you say it crosses over to, let's say, bilateral lifting,
yes,
if you were to, because the coil goes both ways.
Yes.
And when I see it when I look at, like I said, I use internal, external torque, but the Chinese lifters do bilateral movements, but they're doing it, like, in a wavy, and then they'll do the opposite. Do you think that's translating to the type of coil? Because you're not going to see it, the asymmetry, if it's bilateral.
No, of course not.
But do you think that waving is a different expression of that?
That's a good question. So I did John's spinal wave thing. So I was experiencing a lot of waving during all this as well. Not loaded per se, but I think it maybe is a way to tap into it, but I don't think you don't get into the essence of it as much. So not that it's not beneficial for you. I don't think everything anybody's going to do is going to have some benefit to them. But if we know now that if I do it that way, I can get just that extra little bit of depth, then when I go to apply it in that loaded environment, that Olympic lifting or whatever I know, or the way I express it in the world wants me to express it to them to get whatever. But that I think that's the way to do it. Maybe they're using that as a way to tap into it a little differently and get it closer to what I'm talking about, but I still think they're off the mark in a training environment as far as getting as deep into it as possible. So maybe they can tap into it and it's working a similar thing, but not.
If we're talking strictly isolating the in range, then it always comes back to the coil.
Yes. Yeah. Getting to the deepest essence, just down into that as much as you can in the environment you're trying to express it in. So like I've been messing with it in like back bridging or like a T bridge, like is like a beginner way to start getting into bridging. I would say everybody would agree on that maybe, but that's kind of like a way I'm looking at as a way of coiling. And it's a great tool to help somebody that doesn't understand how to express like a double back bridge type thing. And it's like, so it's a great training tool to help with an expression type situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
and we're all about pressure systems too. So like, we're all about lifting still. Like you should pressurize the body. Like you can put a fuck ton of weight on you if you want in that environment. We're just saying, let's get that weight as close to my hips as I can because my lats are so close to my hips now. And I know how to tap into that I can lift heavier and I can do it better. I'm more efficient at it. Because all those guys that lift really heavy, they're just more efficient at it. They get the weight fucking lower. They know how to do that. They've trained it in their way. So they've done it how they've done it for years, and that's fine. But we're just saying, like, I think we can get you there quicker. Or people that have never been able to express it that way, we have a way to help you express it that way.
Can you run us through if you have a client with you, everyday client, how do you utilize this? What's like a standard session look like?
Yeah, so basically if the person's been with me a while and they're willing to just drink my Kool-Aid, I'll just immerse them immediately into it. And we go in, we prep the coil, we do a coil, they feel what I'm talking about. Like if they don't feel it, then it doesn't work in my mind. Like it's not real. And everybody I've ever worked with, they feel it. They feel the crampy feel. They get into it. And then depending on the client's goals or what their interests are, that's where I have to be creative because there's not a lot of information on this stuff yet. Like I'm kind of developing it a little bit as far as modalities go. So I work with a lot of kettlebell people at Core. So I've been having to express it in a kettlebell environment and then base that on the person's goals or how I design that session. You know what I mean? So I think that's what you're looking for, maybe more in depth.
So they're always coiling.
Well, I will say that we try. If the person is drinking my Kool-Aid, yes, I will literally cater the entire session to trying to get them to coil, whether in lunges and presses and squats and deadlifts and everything. Like we come up with a variation that I see fit for that, and then and even we pulse, we rope, we use the sled that way. But if the person is they're more just there, they just want to be fit, they don't really care, they don't have any solid goals, then my first expression for them is to teach the coil and then show them the rope, because I think the rope is so low level skill and it's fun and it's metabolic. It's something to learn, and I know how to teach it really well now. So it's something it's cheap. You can make your own. You can use any kind of rope and you can just teach somebody it, because everybody's been jump roping for years. So it's not like something crazy and wild, and I don't even have to explain what I'm doing with them, but I'll just cue like, oh, drop your shoulder. You know what I mean? Like just start this idea of the figure eighting, and usually I'll get some sort of response for them like, oh, I'm feeling a lot better and blah, blah, blah. And So, and then I'll start expressing it in like a loaded environment slowly for that kind of person. But
so do you try to get most people, if they're willing to do some sort of locomotion running, do you use the pulsars during sessions?
I have personally found I don't like that right now. Not right away. I feel like the rope is a lot more accessible. I don't have to make somebody go outside and have this shaky thing and run with it. We're working on that, making that not such a loud experience, especially if you had a big group. We've done it with like teams before, and it's this overwhelming, like you've got like 40 guys running at you, shaking these things all almost like on the same. It's kind of awesome, but it's also like I've given them to some of the girls at Corridor that go run at like 5 a.m. and they've like run by houses and dogs are barking and things like that. So there's some like environmental stuff going on that we kind of like work out a little bit.
When you're in the desert on a spirit journey and it just sounds like some drums beating.
Oh yeah. But so I'll use them. I'm learning to use that tool in a different way. Like I use it stationary if the person's kind of open to it. But my go-to and what I've told him now is that ropes are kind of the go-to as far as developing the patterning in like just a low-level environment and high level. Like it can get really fancy and fun, and it's a way you can start expressing yourself and come up with a million different combinations with it.
Well, dude, I think people are interested in this. And if everyone watching could comment, would you guys want to have a unit featuring Chris where we dive into this and have him teach it?
Yes.
I think people would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hey, yes, Mila, that is I taught you the sneak. So actually I sent her a video on like the most advanced rope skill and she picked it up. Like just with some basic, I mean, you're a phenomenal athlete to pick that up. That's crazy that you were able to get that. Like we were all like laughing about how like quickly you got it, even though you were like, this is so hard and all that, but it was awesome. Like congrats on that. So that's definitely stuff I want you guys to be able to explore. It's just fun. It's doable.
It's an accessible win psychologically. So that's why I think it's good you're doing that with clients, because it feels good to get that down, right?
Yeah. But like I would be almost just so intrigued to see, like, because all of you have different walks of life and training, like what it actually does for you guys everywhere. Because all I can feel is benefit. I don't see any negative thing from it. I don't feel anything negative. I feel good. I have high energy. Like I just had a kid. I'm not sleeping and I feel awesome. Like that doesn't make sense. But
do you have any guess of why you're getting this feeling outside of the gym energy? Do you feel like there's a mood, emotional type of boost as well?
I honestly, I want to just say it just comes down to like I move more efficiently. Like we'd spend all this time trying to do everything else and move efficiently in the gym and then even get outside the box and just roll on the floor and be one with that. But it's like we all still walk from our car to the fucking gym or from our house to the thing and get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. And how shitty is that for some of us? Like I know that didn't feel good for me at all. I used to wake up, my freaking ankles hurt every time I got out of bed and tried to walk to the bathroom. But I feel freaking awesome now. I have no like joint pain, nothing. And like that's just a product of this learning to be more efficient, like overall. And now like I can't wait till like I just decide I want to actually express this at something, like throw it all into one thing, because like I'm gonna fucking be like a god at it. I don't care. I'm gonna be the best at it because I just feel that awesome. Oh, you already bought them. Very cool.
Yeah. What is your experience with the pulsars?
Uncontrollable swag. Fuck yes. Big cattin'. We'll have to, like we did the Target, the cart thing. We'll have to go to Costco's and like just swag. Very cool.
So what is this system, like is the WEC method, is this pretty much set?
it's not 100% set in stone. The content's there. I know all of it. Everything I'm going to teach you is the way we're going to do it, basically. But yes, it's there. It's more of a figuring out what is too much to give you guys right away. But I feel like I said, the ropes are really easy to look at. The figure eighting, the concept of it, that feeling of the coil. Everybody's already used to the cramping from Kinstretch and FRC and all that crap. So it's a similar concept.
Awesome. All right, man. Yeah, well, shoot, let's do it. We'll talk about when we could schedule you in. Mm-hmm. Hopefully a few months soon. Mm-hmm. And then everyone will get to experience the swag. Pulsars have went well with myself and have introduced to a few diehard clients.
Yeah, cool. And it's hard. Was it hard to introduce that to people? I know that can be an experience trying to teach that to somebody. We're trying to make that easier. Definitely. We found some good ways to approach that. Cool.
And one more thing, Chris. I want to say your boy, David Weck, hats off to his marketing and utilization of social media.
Oh, God.
He's a genius.
He got kicked off Facebook, first off.
Did he?
He actually got kicked off Facebook, yeah. So then he found Instagram like 60 days ago, maybe longer than that, but he's posted like 9,000 times.
Yeah, he's using it well. That's free advertisement.
Yeah,
it's like a more extreme version of Ryan Enrico.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man.
I'll end up talking to you about him and whatever his name is from Functional Patterns. They had a thing.
Yeah, I could see how they're in the same sphere and on heads. Yeah, but also Fighting Monkey.
Oh yeah, actually yeah. So I was telling him about that.
You feel the same figure eight, but the thing is, you kind of have to figure it out. But it gets to the same thing.
This is what I'm saying. All of this stuff, like everything I'm looking at, especially because of you guys, like creating this platform, you've exposed me to so many different things that like some of the best things I've taken from the units, I'm starting to recognize that they had like a coil component to them. And I've almost been able to go back and like now like still get into that more in that specific thing. And I'm like, fuck yes, like that's why this is awesome. That's why this person has this in their system and they don't even know it. They do know it at a level, but not even like to this level. So it's just like, you're just going to amplify everything. Like the whole model of this is literally just to say, hey, like, this is the concept. Do whatever the fuck you love. And I love you for doing it. And this will just make you better at it. If you just implement even just a base level of it, just do that before you do things and you'll probably feel better at what you do. Type thing.
Yeah. Instead of trying to work really hard to move pretty and get these good looking skills. Mm-hmm. It's like reverse engineering it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These high level athletes, like you said, can do all these. Oh, I could just do all these things.
Yeah.
So isolating what is it, and I guess it irks me to say locomotion because I associate that with functional patterns. But how you guys explain it makes.
We laugh. Actually, I'll say it. We laugh at him for what he does. We have an issue with him. There was a long email, basically. We'll just put it at that, with a lot of fucks in it. but which is sad. But if you look at like if that's where we all started, like that idea that we came down and now we're like fuck swinging in trees. I'm walking like I'm a fucking biped now. Then that was the key to us being able to express anything we want. Like that's it. Like whatever that initial thing, that power that it gave us, like that's what it is. And that's where I think like you were saying, the old time strongman and stuff, like people walked more, people just moved. They didn't fucking think about all this shit. They just did it. And I don't know, we're just closer to that roots of like all of that stuff. And torque, dude, torque is it. I'm so torque heavy now. Like I need to talk to you because you've been in it longer than me. Like everything torque. This torquing out, and like I just see every gymnastic skill I've ever tried to do on a ring, like it just makes sense to me now, like completely. I'm an expert now at everything.
Well, yeah, dude, because
self-proclaimed expert at everything. Like, I promise you.
the Dantian, where you're initiating that coil, that mid, and what you're talking about FRC, like making the joints work nice. You know, the stuff in between the joints.
Yeah.
There's one section that's kind of missing from that. It's the trunk and the hips, which we call the core, but articulating, and that's kind of where the torque starts. And that's where you're talking about the Dantian and the figure 8.
Yes.
Squeezing and articulating that and getting that in, it's almost like it's a Dantian car. If you want to call it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
A chi car. Fuck, chi cars. Can we TM that? Yeah. Chi cars.
It all comes from that. Like, that's our center, right? And everything spirals from it. And
yeah, that spine lumbar is going in a spiral figure 8 as we walk.
Yeah.
Like, that is the source. It's not the legs.
No, it's not. Yeah. No. Yeah, they're just part of the system, right? It's the coiling core. It is the coil, the figure 8ing. It's that, and then distilling it on one side and then the other. Like, we can tap into its the biggest range or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's in range strength of the core. Like, all these principles are fitting in.
Yeah.
They're all lining up with that.
Yeah.
So
And this guy doesn't know anything about any of this stuff. I always bring up half this stuff, like FRC and all this stuff. He's like, "What's that? Like, what's all this stuff?"
Yeah,
it's just so like
our cultural filter and language put on it, but we're all talking about the same thing.
Yeah,
this is awesome, man. Dude, please let me come by the gym soon so we could hang out and
you can come to me if you want now.
Oh yeah, I'll come down there for sure.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Oh yeah, you gotta
come to me this time. Cool. Well, cool. I'm glad everybody liked it. Oh shit. Oh, the 9-speed tool. I think that shit's awesome. I'm gonna buy one. I was playing around with rings to try to mimic what I think it does, but I think the 9-speed tool has a little more weight behind it. But I kind of the pulsar, I think we're trying to go for sort of the same thing. It's just there's more wrist play with the 9-speed tool, I guess, and it kind of fits the coordination stuff a little better. But 9-speed tool looks awesome. I was following Michael, and he bought a bunch for his kids or whatever.
He's got boxes full.
I know. I want to play with it so bad. It's like $200, but I'm gonna buy it.
Well,
I have a problem.
I'll talk to Michael. Let's see if we can get some.
Okay, because that would be awesome. Because I think I was trying to express the same kind of idea with rings, but I don't think I was good. It was fun either way, though. And the pulsars, we can get some like fight bounce type stuff going, so you can do some stuff like that, but it's not quite the same. Yeah, cool. All right. Cool. I think you're trying to end this thing. I'll stop talking.
Yeah, I'll let you go. And yeah, I'm excited. We'll talk to you about getting you on. Mm-hmm. And yeah, thank you, man, for all the information, everything you're doing.
For sure. Yeah. House fire. We don't play on houses anymore. What happened with that? We used to be so heavy on that.
Yeah, we're
it's like we're all like a family now. Like, we don't care about it.